And welcome to the End Time Shofar End Time Prophecy channel. Today we'll be dealing with, on this video, Pharmakeia has hit the continent of Africa. As we can see of this headline here from Reuters news publication back of April of this year, 2024, Sierra Leone declares national emergency on drug abuse. Pretty much the drug that has really hit Sierra Leone is the drug called Kush. Became so much of a problem, President Julius Maada had declared a national emergency in regards to the major amounts of substance abuse that has occurred within his nation. The article goes on and it states, the highly addictive mix of marijuana, fentanyl, and tramadol has caused hundreds of deaths and psychiatrically damaged scores of users since its first appearance in Sierra Leone 4 years ago, according to the government. Not only this is a mixture of synthetic marijuana and mixing other drugs, people that are manufacturing this drug are digging up human bones and mixing it also together within this drug, which is very sickening and very demonic when you're looking at it, at this. So we see that it's caused such a devastation within Sierra Leone. It has even crossed over to the border of Liberia, where Kush is starting to become an issue in Liberia. We're also seeing other drugs arise in the continent of Africa, such as monkey tail in parts of Nigeria is starting to become an issue. And also, too, on the Ivory Coast, the drug called Khadafi is starting to become an issue amongst drug users in that particular country. So the Bible did predict in the book of Revelation that it would be an escalation of Pharmakeia or sorcery in the last days, a major amount of people around the whole entire world that would be using drugs. So let's go ahead and examine this within this video.
Let's now talk about what's happening in Sierra Leone. And before I go on, let me warn you that the details could be disturbing. People in the West African country are digging up graves there. Yes, digging up graves. And this has led to an emergency being declared. But why exactly are they doing that? What are they looking for? This is a hunt for human bones, and the reason for this hunt is a drug. Yes, a psychoactive drug that is made from human bones. I know it sounds scary, also bizarre, but this drug is at the heart of a major crisis in Sierra Leone. According to a BBC report, it's got addicts desperately digging up graves for human bones, and the country has declared a national emergency. That is how bad the situation has become. Now, first things first, what is this drug really? It's being called Kush, also being referred to as the zombie drug. And what is it made using? Like I said, human bones, basically ground up human bone, and that is just one of the key ingredients. It comprises of other toxic substances, and its impact can last several hours. Most importantly, the drug is dangerously addictive. Like I said, it's making people exhume skeletons for the production of the drug. That's how desperate it is making the addicts. And that is how disturbing the crisis is. Now, the thing is, the country is no stranger to this drug. In fact, it first came to light around 6 years ago. But things have now reached a point where the impact of drugs and substance abuse, particularly this drug, has led to an existential threat for the country, as per the president. According to the report, the situation has turned so dire that police officers are guarding cemeteries, to stop the addicts from digging up the graves. Imagine that. The president has asked for a national task force on drugs and substance abuse to be set up. It would mainly concentrate on tackling the Kush crisis, and there's also the aspect of mental health concerns because of this drug. Let me tell you why I mentioned that. The report highlights how, according to the Sierra Leone Psychiatric Hospital, between 2020 and 2023, admissions linked to this drug shot up by almost 4,000%. Naturally, the drug menace has sent shock waves across the country, and the authorities are fighting to win the war against the drug.
A few puffs is all it takes to end up in a trance-like state for up to an hour. The drug is called Kush, a potent mix of chemicals that mimics cannabis. In this smoke-filled room in a shanty town, young Sierra Leoneans have gathered to get their fix. Many are barely in their teens. At around 25 US cents a dose, it's a cheap and easy way to escape reality. In the past few years, Kush has wreaked havoc on the lives of many young people in Sierra Leone.
They say I have to purge my body of this substance. Since I started smoking 5 years ago, my body is now addicted to this thing. I have to buy medication, but I don't have the ability to wean myself off it, so it's difficult for me.
Ibrahim Koroma is a social worker. He thinks Kush is one of the most pressing issues facing the young people he works with. He often visits the hideouts where smokers meet up. On this day, Ibrahim speaks to around 100 addicts about the dangers of Kush.
Because young people are dying. Young people are dying. We need a speedy and refocused strategy to see how young people are taken from this drug intake. But at the moment, it is quite alarming.
In the face of a mounting crisis, the country's only psychiatric hospital is overrun with addicts brought in by their loved ones, hoping to get them clean.
What we see in the hospital can be likened to the tip of an iceberg, where only the severe cases are being brought. But if you go down to the communities, if you go down to the parks, you go down to the streets, you go down to the ghettos, you'll find much more, people using these substances and the impact has been created on them than what we see here.
But in the face of a highly addictive drug, willpower is not always enough for those being discharged. As resources for follow-up support remain low, relapse rates remain high.
No more Kush, no more Kush.
Some of its use. Kush, it's a synthetic drug whose true origin and composition is still not fully understood, but it's become a fast popular drug for disillusioned youth who have nothing to look forward to. And so we're going to speak to some of them to understand why they're in this trade and what it means for society. I'm told these ruins house at least 300 people. Almost everyone here smokes Kush. For about 4 years now, it's been severely affecting Liberia's youth population. It's hard to put into words what I'm witnessing because it's not anything that I've ever experienced before. Every role that you act into has people without hopes and dreams and ambitions, and they're prisoners of their own reality. Kush, like crack, delivers a brief yet powerful high when smoked. The sensation quickly fades, leaving the user in a kind of hole. I meet William Cooper, who is smoking a single pellet of Kush for 50 cents.
Yeah, so when you take it, sometimes, it make you forget about the past, it make you forget about the war in there and other things that have been bothering you. So when you take this, you relax yourself for some time. When it use you, when it is already bodied completed, where you see all who get out on the street looking for money to get some and then buy some to consume.
The individuals addicted to drugs in this area are referred to as zogos, a term akin to zombies. The ruins also shelter many women. To support their drug habit, some of them engage in commercial sex work. I've seen a few women here who are pregnant. What happens when they give birth?
Some people give birth, sell a child. Some people give birth, leave a child in the hospital and escape.
Is it dangerous here for you as women?
Yes. They come and go out with you, take the money and beat you.
They will just have you free and run away. They will say they give money and beat you and fuck you and go.
Take the money back.
Has that happened to you?
Yes, it happened to everyone of service.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. The conditions here characterized by rape, drug abuse, violence, and rampant disease are shocking and heartbreaking. People here resort to various means to earn money. Some sell food while others work at the beach pouring concrete. But drug addiction has incapacitated many. Recently, tuberculosis claimed the lives of 2 residents. Amidst this, 2 locals are raising funds to support the affected youth. How did it become such a penetrative drug in Liberia? Why do you think the government has been slow to respond?
I think the reason is that some of those very government officials in government are part of this illegal drugs deal. They are part of this illegal drugs dealing. There are some members of the House of Parliament are also involved in the drugs dealing. So they will not want to put effort. And the future of Liberia are the youth.
Yeah.
If the youth are perished and they're gone, Liberia is nothing.
Many allege that politicians are benefiting from drug trafficking, a claim we hear from numerous sources and plan to investigate. One clear fact, however, is that the city of Monrovia offers no assistance to addicts.
So
to reunite ourselves with our family is the most important. If I don't have money now, I cannot go home. Even when I go home, I will be like a laughing tooth. But we are not crazy. No. Okay? So I would really like for that help to come. I should be rehabilitated and empowered.
All right.
So that I can become a help to this nation too, one way or the other.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you too for the time, the opportunity, and the purpose.
This house and the people in it leave me both stunned and heartbroken.
Now, when we examine an article in the ADF magazine, which is an online magazine, the title of this article is called Potent New Drugs, a Growing Concern Across Africa. So this article is actually written July of this year, 2024. So as we move down in the article, it gives some very eye-opening statements what's taking place across the continent of Africa. When we look at the Ivory Coast, which we mentioned within briefly our introduction, the drug Khadafi is being used, which Khadafi is a mixture of tramadol, energizing alcoholic beverages, have become very widespread within the government, starting to ban the import and export of such beverages because it's causing such chaos with the wide amount of use among the people within the Ivory Coast. We have mentioned monkey tail in our introduction, which is a popular drink in Nigeria, which is a mixture of homemade gin, cannabis seeds, leaves, stems, roots, and tramadol abuse is also common in Nigeria and parts of North Africa. More than 90% of the global tramadol seizures occurred in Africa in the past 5 years. I'm stop right there and make a couple of points. So we see people in Ivory Coast are mixing drugs and stuff with these beverages. We know in ancient times that alcohol, on the most part, was considered spirits. Even when you go by and you look at liquor stores and the sale of liquor or alcohol, they sell spirits. So we know within the occult, when you do drugs or you get drunk and it opens you up because you're intoxicated, it opens you up to the spirit world. So it's a byproduct when you see these people walking around like zombies or having superhuman strength or doing crazy things because they've opened up themselves to the spirits, to Pharmakeia and some other things and all, which we already established, which the book of Revelation talks about the escalation of Pharmakeia. Look at South Africa is mentioned in this article. It states that Nyaope is a mix of low-grade heroin cut with marijuana, cleaning chemicals, rat poison, other harmful substance. It has become popular among many people within the township. So you see this becoming very popular within the townships. In Mali, there's a dangerous homebrew called Cocktail, which is known as God Take Me, has become prevalent. So we see that Pharmakeia is starting become an issue on the continent of Africa, not just in America, not just in Europe. It talks about this in Bible prophecy when we look at the book of Revelation, when it talks about Pharmakeia and the last days. So we see that the nations are being overtaken by Pharmakeia, and that's how a lot of people within the nations are going to be deceived, because the merchants of this world, the power structure of this world, is using the tool of Pharmakeia to deceive the masses and to bring the masses into bondage and become a slave, enslave their minds to the satanic kingdom. Now we see how the impact of the early 20th century with Lester Crowley, when he started becoming satanically inspired with his writings and his Temple of Thelema. He talked about the use of hashish and cannabis and heroin and some other things and all, with the connection of getting in contact with spirit entities and the occult connection. And then we see a graduation or a satanic revival or revolution that took place in the 1960s with the countercultural revolution that took place, the drug revolution that took place led by Timothy Leary, the pushing of LSD and hallucinogenic type drugs. And also we see this now hitting the continent of Africa. It's not just resting upon America or in Europe. We're seeing this now becoming quite prevalent on the continent of Africa. So when we look at the actual definition of Pharmakeia, the definition is stated as the use of or the administering of drugs, poisoning, which we've already covered within this video, how some of the drug mixtures people are using, mixing these drugs, the manufacturer of these drugs. These drug dealers are mixing rat poisoning, some other things and all. They're mixing human bones and just some other things that are taking place. Also, too, the user that is using these drugs are not just poisoning their mind, they're poisoning their body, they're poisoning their very soul, where it's giving them to become delusional and open themselves up to spirit entities, which are demonic beings. Sorcery, which is magical arts, are often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by it, and also to deception and the seduction of idolatry. We're going to look at another word because we looked at the Greek word for Pharmakeia for drugs and sorcery. However, there is another Greek word, and it's intuitive, when the Hebrew Bible was translated into Greek. And here's what they have to say. We're going to look at some Old Testament scriptures, which gives reference to drugs or sorcery. The word is epono, which has a broader meaning than pharmakeios. Here are some of the scripture references for epono being used to showing drug using musicians. So we look at Exodus chapter 7, verse 11. It's pharmakeios, epono, pharmakeia. You see Exodus chapter 7, verse 22, epono, pharmakeia. Exodus 8 and 7, epono, pharmakeia. Exodus 8 and 18. We see the same thing. And then Exodus 8 and 19, epono. Daniel chapter 1, verse 20, epono. Daniel chapter 2, verse 10, epono. Daniel chapter 2, verse 27, epono. Daniel chapter 4, verse 7, epono. Daniel chapter 4, verse 9, epono. And Daniel chapter 5, verse 11, epono. What Lester Crowley, and we see Timothy Leary and some of these other people taught in the past, there's nothing new under the sun, which we make the scripture reference to Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. Crowley's satanic inspiration, it goes back thousands of years with the connection to drug use, sorcery, and magic. The Bible predicts in the end times a massive satanic revival and a revival of pharmakeia or drug use or sorcery would take place. This is the End Time Shofar, End Time Bible Prophecy Podcast, signing out. God bless. Please put a like. Please share. Thank you for viewing, and God bless.